All right, good morning, everyone, and thanks for coming. I know you're all incredibly busy, so I appreciate you making the time for this. As the leaders in this hospital, you are absolutely essential in keeping us safe. I mean, our staff, our patients, and all of our data. So, the goal for us today is to walk through our security plan and make sure we're all on the same page.
I want to start with this because it really says it all, doesn't it? When we talk about cyber attacks in a hospital setting, well, it's not just about losing files or computers going down. We're talking about something that could actually stop critical treatments. Imagine canceling surgeries or delaying them. The consequences, as it says here, can literally be life and death. The stakes for us are just incredibly high.
So this is here we are right now. The hospital leadership has tasked us with putting together a rock-solid plan. A plan to stop a cyber attack before it happens, and to make sure our data is protected. So what are we going to do today? Simple. We're going to understand the enemy, the threats out there, and then we're going to build our plan to fight back.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this meeting. First, we're going to look at a real-life hospital hack, so this isn't just theory. Then we'll get into understanding the threats. After that, we'll cover our essential security plan. And, super important, we'll talk about how all of us, can spot a scam. And finally, we'll cover what to do in an emergency, if an attack gets through.
All right, let's dive into that first part. I want to start with a real story, because honestly, this stuff isn't just something you read about in the news happening to other people. It happens to hospitals just like ours. We're going to take a look at a really serious attack on the Canadian health system.
So in this case, what happened was the attackers got in. They got access to personal information, patient health records, everything. And the result? It was absolute chaos. We're talking thousands of appointments just gone, canceled. People who needed chemotherapy had to wait. Think about that. And it took them days just to get simple things like email working again. This is a perfect and scary example of how a digital problem has a massive, real-world human impact.
Okay, so that Canadian story really sets the stage for how serious this is. You can't build a good defense if you don't know what you're defending against, right? You got to know your enemy. So let's break down the main types of cyber threats we're likely to see.
So the first big one is something called ransomware. In French, you'd call it rançongiciel. Now, think of this like digital kidnapping. A bad piece of software or malware gets onto our network. It finds all of our important files, patient charts, schedules, you name it, and it locks them up with a special code, a process called encryption. We can't open them, can't use them, they're basically held hostage. And to get the key to unlock everything, the attackers demand money, a ransom.
Next up is phishing. And phishing is all about dissection. It's a social engineering attack. Here's how it works. The bad guys send an email that looks completely legitimate. It might look like it's from a bank, a delivery service, or, and this is the scary part, it might even look like it's from our own IT department. The whole point is to trick someone, one of our employees, into clicking a dangerous link or, even worse, giving away their password. It really preys on trust.
And then there's smishing. This one is super easy to remember once you know what phishing is. Just think of it as SMS phishing. So it's the exact same trick, the same kind of deceptive message trying to get you to click a bad link, but instead of an email, it comes to you as a text message on your phone.
So, just to make it crystal clear, phishing, that's through email. Smishing, that's through a text message and SMS. It's the same scam, just two different ways of getting to you. The end goal, though, it's always the same. They want our passwords, our data, our access.
Okay, so we know the enemy. Now let's talk about our shield. How do we defend ourselves? And this is the good news. We are absolutely not helpless here. We have a very clear, very straightforward security plan with steps that every single one of us can take to keep this hospital safe.
We've broken our plan down into 3 simple core ideas. It's our 3-step security protocol. Number 1, secure your access. Number 2, maintain your devices. And number 3, protect your information. Let's look at what each of those means.
All right, step 1, secure your access. First thing, everyone, and I mean everyone, needs to be using multi-factor authentication, or MFA. All this means is that a password alone isn't good enough anymore. You also need a second step, like a code that gets sent to your phone. It proves it's really you. Next, password hygiene. This means using strong, unique passwords for everything, and please never ever share them. And finally, if you're working from home or at a coffee shop, you must turn on the VPN. A VPN, or virtual private network, basically creates a secret, secure tunnel for our hospital data, even if you're on public Wi-Fi.
Step 2 is all about keeping our devices healthy. You can think of it like going to the doctor for a checkup.
This means you have to install those software and OS updates when they pop up. I know they can be annoying, but they often contain really important security fixes. You also need to make sure your antivirus software is always up to date. And a big one, only download apps from official places like the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. And finally, a really simple rule that makes a huge difference. Please keep your work and personal devices separate. Use your work computer for work and your personal phone for personal stuff. And that brings us to the third and maybe the most crucial step, protecting our information. And the best way to do that is with regular backups. A backup is your ultimate safety net. It's a copy of all our important data. So if a ransomware attack happens and they lock all our files, we don't have to panic. We can just restore everything from our backup. We never ever have to think about paying a ransom. So all the technology in the world is great, but it's only one part of the puzzle. The most important part of our defense is you. It's all of us. Every single person in this hospital is part of what we call our human firewall. So now let's talk about how to train ourselves to spot these scams before they can do any harm.
So what are the warning signs? What should you be looking for? Well, there are a few classic red flags. First, who is it from? Do you know them? Even if you do, look very closely at the email address. Does it look a little weird? Maybe it's spelled wrong? Second, what's the tone of the message? Is it trying to make you feel panicked? Does it say, urgent, act now? That's a huge warning sign. Also, look for simple spelling or grammar mistakes. Professional organizations usually don't make those. And of course, is there a strange link or an attachment you weren't expecting? All of these things should make you pause and think before you click anything.
Okay, we've talked a lot about prevention, which is our main goal, but we also have to be prepared for the worst-case scenario. We have to have a plan for what to do if an attack actually happens. So, if you think something is wrong, here is our emergency protocol. This is the single most important thing to remember. If you suspect a device is infected, maybe it's acting really slow, or you know you clicked on a bad link, the very first thing you do is isolate it from the network, immediately. That means turn off the Wi-Fi. If it's plugged in with a cable, unplug that cable from the wall. Why? Because that stops the infection from spreading to anyone else. Your first job is always containment. And once an attack is contained, this is where our most important recovery tool comes back into play, the backup. In French, that's a sauvegarde. Remember, this is our clean, safe copy of all our data, stored somewhere completely separate. If the worst happens, this is what lets us get back on our feet. It's how we restore our systems and get back to what matters, taking care of our patients. Our backups are our recovery plan.
So there you have it. We've walked through the threats we face, we've covered our 3-step security plan, and we've gone over the emergency protocol. The plan itself, it's all here. It's in place. So the real question, the final question for every single one of us in this room is this: are we prepared to use it? Because having a plan on paper is one thing. Being ready to act on it every single day is what will actually keep us safe. Thank you for your time.